Hey y'all, welcome to the Golden Petals Podcast. Bienvenidos, mis amores. Come on in, come on in. Today, we will be talking about reclaiming your power. Reclaiming your power, reclaiming your life, owning your power, and owning your life. Let's just jump right on into it. So I took notes, and I took my notes in my copy of Golden Petals, the journal. Be sure to get y'all a copy, as well as a copy of Golden Petals, the book. The link is in the description, it is in the bio, and that is available to you. So, reclaiming your power. Remembering your power and that you have agency, authority, and autonomy over your life and your destiny. There are 5 R's that come into reclaiming your power. The 5 points that I briefly want to go over today when it comes to reclaiming your power are rest, realign, release, readjust, and receive. 5 points. Again, that's rest, realign, release, readjust, and receive. So remembering and reclaiming your power. The first part of that is resting. When we are disconnected from our power, at some point there was a disconnect within ourselves. And part of getting back in alignment and in tune with the rhythm of ourselves and the rhythm of life is resting. It sounds very simple and fundamental, but it is so crucial. We live in a world where there is hustle and bustle culture. Things are constantly on the go and moving fast, and even in the midst of that, it is important that we find time and create time to take care of ourselves. You can't pour from an empty cup. That was a difficult lesson that I had to learn, and resting is imperative to you being your best self. What happens when we rest? We recharge. The same way that if a phone battery dies, you need to plug it in so it can recharge. It's the same thing for ourselves. We need to recharge so we can keep going and be all that we were created to be. There was a season in my life where that was a struggle and a challenge for me. There was a season where I felt very burnt out, exhausted. I was in survival mode, and my therapist asked me a question that shifted my whole perspective. She said, "Marie, you are constantly taking care of others. Who is taking care of you?" And she told me that the same way that I prioritize others, I need to prioritize myself. And she said, you need to interrupt the cycle. You need to interrupt that time of your go, go, go and be survivalistically selfish and place in there time for you and keep your commitment to yourself. That changed my whole life. Because little by little, what I started doing was, okay, well, the same way that I'm always making sure to schedule time to be there for others. I am going to schedule and block off time for myself. And that change right there shifted my life for the better, little by little. There was once a point in time where pouring into me was foreign, and now it is like breathing. It is non-negotiable, it is second nature, and it comes with ease. And you can do it too if you haven't already. So taking time to rest and to unapologetically pour into yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So it is okay to prioritize yourself unapologetically, without guilt and without shame, and making sure that you take the time to rest and recharge. Which brings us to our second point, realign. Because when you rest, you're able to get back into alignment. When you rest, you are able to recenter yourself. When you rest, you are able to then be able to see clearer, operate from a space of clarity, operate from a space of, instead of being drained and defeated and depleted, now you have more energy and clarity to navigate through what it is that you are navigating through in this experience. When you rest, you realign. When you rest, you are giving yourself what it is that you need to continue forward. And realigning puts you in position to go where you need to be. When you are realigned, you are more balanced. When you are depleted, you are at a higher risk for being imbalanced. And an imbalanced energy can contribute to an imbalanced mentality, which can then contribute to imbalanced decisions. So when you rest and realign, you are now in a space where you are more centered and clear to make decisions that are in alignment with your best and highest good. Which brings us to our third point, release. Release. You can release the things that are holding you back, that you are holding on to, and that sometimes you don't even recognize that you're holding on to. When you rest, you give yourself that sacred space to realign, which then creates an environment where you can release what has been contributing to the resistance in your life. You can get clear, you can have clarity, and that can allow you to release and recognize what needs to be released. That can help you recognize what barriers need to be released. And when you rest, you are then able to be in a space to recognize and let go of what it is that can be blocking you from unlocking your next level. Which brings us to our fourth point, readjust. Readjust. When you readjust, because now you've released, right? You got rest, you were able to realign yourself, You were able to release some things, which now is creating space for you to pivot and readjust. The same way that when you are managing money, you're taking inventory of how much money you have going in and how much money you have going out. What you're spending your money on, it's the same thing with your energy. You can then see your energy leaks, because when there are money leaks, you can take inventory. Okay, I spent this much money ordering food. I spent this much money on bills. I spent this much money saving. I spent this much money helping out other people around me. You can then identify what your energy leaks are when you're budgeting your money, right? So it's the same thing with your energy. With energy leaks, you can identify what makes or breaks the reality that you are experiencing. And when you readjust, you can identify what those energy leaks are. What is it that is taking up real estate in your life? What is it that is taking up space and energy in your life? And it could be something as simple as you talk to somebody and every time you get off the phone with them, you're drained. You talk to someone and you notice that they make you anxious. You talk to someone and you notice how every time you talk to them, they got something negative to say. That's an energy leak. Because that time that you are spending interacting with that person and it pulls on your energy and it takes away from you, that is time that you could be investing in yourself and prioritizing yourself. And it is okay to lovingly place firm but loving boundaries and just, you ain't got time for it. There is a do not disturb feature on your phone. People don't have to disturb your peace. People don't have to disturb your peace. You don't have to allow that. So you can notice, okay, where are your energy leaks? Is there something in your life that you feel like is subtracting versus adding? So when you identify what those energy leaks are, you can then readjust accordingly. Like, you know what? I know when so-and-so call, I'm not going to answer because it throws off my mood. It throws off my energy. It throws off the vibe. You don't have to make time or space for it with love. With love. And it's the same thing with energy. It could be a job, a person, a habit, a hobby, whatever it is. You know yourself and you know your life best. What I'm talking about, these are just examples. These are just examples, but you can take that template and reflect and apply it to your life. And access to you is a privilege. Access to you is a privilege. And when you readjust, the price has gone up. I always think about Fat Joe when he said, yesterday's price is not today's price. So what it took to access you before, it may not be what it takes to access you now. And people need to come correct and respond accordingly if they want to have access to you and your energy. And you have the authority to dictate what it is that someone would have to do in order to access you and your energy. Energy is currency. Energy is currency. There is an energy exchange. So you have the authority and the autonomy to decide what is the cost for someone to have access to you and your life. So when you rest, you can realign, and then you can release and readjust. The price has gone up. Which brings us to our fifth point. Receive. Receive. Once you are in a space of these internal shifts, you open yourself up for God in the universe to bless you with what it is that you're calling in and what it is that you're asking for. And when you go from survival mode to thriving, you go from always doing work to now you are letting the work come to you with ease, with flow, like water. receive. Turning receiving mode on. When you are in survival mode, you are constantly working for something, trying to earn something, trying to make a way for something. When you are in thriving mode, your receiving mode is on and the blessings come to you. It goes from you chasing something to you attracting something. It comes to you with ease, it comes to you with flow, and it comes to you like water. It's a switch, but it takes time and it's very much possible. So when you are going through circumstances and situations in your life where you feel discouraged, where you feel defeated or doubtful and you're not sure, remember who you are and remember whose you are. God created you. When God created you in your mother's womb, God knew the seasons of changes and challenges that you would be coming up against. And when God created the problem, God also created the solution. God created you, and God loves you. When you go into these rooms, you do not walk into these rooms alone. When you go into these rooms, you are not walking into these rooms alone. So remembering, this is a bonus point. I know I said 5, which we already hit, but this is a bonus point. Remembering who you are, remembering whose you are, and returning home to yourself and letting the love and respect you have for yourself be a building block in the foundation of your life. You are at the control panel of your life. And no matter what gets thrown your way, you are equipped to navigate through. And where you are does not have to be the end point. It is a temporary season before you're going to the next point. So that's everything that I have for today, my loves. Thank you for tuning in to Golden Petals, the podcast. I appreciate you all tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave yellow hearts in the chat. Golden Petals, the book, is available with Golden Petals, the journal. And I appreciate the love and the support that you all give. Have a wonderful day.